Students, I know it's probably been a couple days since you've seen the last lecture, but for me, it's only been just a couple moments. And I really am excited about giving you the answer now to counseling anger biblically so that you can help people change their behavior biblically in the area of anger. Probably the most important thing in the last lecture is a definition of anger. The emotional energy of displeasure given to solve a problem or a sin. I'm telling you, anger is not a bad thing. But if it's not controlled and guided and channeled properly, it can be one of the most destructive things in our entire being. If we hold it inside, or if we let it out and vent it out in the wrong way, we've got to channel it. Let me give you an illustration that it's so obvious. It's kind of a trite illustration about anger, but it gives you the point I'm trying to make. All right, you're driving down a car and driving down a highway in your car, and your car gets a flat tire. You get out, you look at the tire, and you're so upset. You're going to run late. You're so upset. You go over to the tire, and what do? You start kicking it. Now look at what you did. You had emotional energy of displeasure. Oh no, I'm going to be late. Oh, I can't believe this happened to me today. Oh, I can't believe this stupid car. Oh, I can't believe the money this is going to cost. And you're all upset. You're all angry. All right? But notice what you did with your emotional energy of displeasure. You go over and you start kicking the tire. You're using up the energy that God gave you to change the tire, to get the problem solved, and you're using up your energy by kicking it, getting mad, yelling at the people in the car, and all of that emotional energy of displeasure that was given to solve the problem that you have, you are now dispelling it in a way that is not helpful to anything. That might be a good way, at least for you to understand. So, how do we counsel people with anger? Obviously, we're going to be talking about the wrong kind of anger. Before we do that, the whole purpose here now is to help them do what? What's biblical counseling? Changing behavior biblically. So now how are we going to do that? Let's look at this. Roman numeral 5, counseling anger in lecture 9. Large A, help the counselee to admit the problem of anger. Ooh, that can be kind of tough. Anger that is denied cannot be eliminated. If they deny their anger, they can't ever have victory over it. So help the counselor admit it. And this is kind of tough. Anger that is denied cannot be eliminated. Number 2, point out that this emotion is God-given. That they have emotional displeasure is not a sin. It's the way that they are dispelling it. Number 3, at least get them to acknowledge that the possibility of anger exists. The wrong kind of anger exists. The possibility. Large B. Okay, so we got them to admit it, which is very important. Consider the sources of their anger by asking some questions. You're trying to go now, remember our method, down the twig, down the branches, down the limb, down the trunk to get to the root. So what is the root of this emotional energy of displeasure being used wrongly? Consider the sources of their anger. Number 1, hey, what makes you really angry? Number 2, when was the last time you got really mad, that you really displayed it? What happened in that? Watch for excuses. Oh, it's my personality. It runs in my family. I'm Irish. I'm a redhead. Listen, those aren't going to work. Those are just excuses. They're covering up instead of confessing their problem. So we're going to consider the sources. We're going to help them admit it. Large C. We're going to teach the art of evaluation. Now, this is going to be really important a little later in this lecture. But teach the art of evaluation. Again, it's a series of questions that you're going to ask them. Hey, so what's making you feel so angry? What's your tension? Now, remember, people never give you the root problem. They only give you the fruit problem. So whatever they're going to tell you, you're going to have to follow it down to the root. But what's making you feel really angry? My spouse's messiness. Okay, that is not the root of their anger. I'm just telling you that right now. But that is what's ticking them off. That's what's letting the fuse go. But you got to go ask them, well, why is it? Well, they've done it for all their lives, and they just, you'll probably end up with a bitterness thing, something that they got hurt on, or some injustice that they feel was done, and now it's being displayed in that way. Number 2, why am I feeling anger and not some other emotion? That's interesting. Number 3, am I jumping to conclusions? Boy, Proverbs really talks about this. People that get angry before they know everything about the situation or person who is making me angry. I think this is an area that I have struggled with in my life, just to be transparent. I think I come to a conclusion, then I get all upset only to find out more evidence down the road that like, oh man, that wasn't true at all. I was angry about something that wasn't even true. And I think we've probably all been there, but I will admit I've done that before. That's finding the sources of the anger. Have I jumped to a conclusion? Number 4, is my anger justified? In other words, is this my personal rights, or is this something about God that I should have a holy anger and indignation towards? Is it right for me to feel inferior or threatened in this anger arousing situation? Number 6, how might others, including the person who's making me angry, view this situation? Am I standing in their shoes? Am I looking at it from a different perspective? Is there another way for me to look at this situation? Number 8, are there things I can do to change the situation? Emotional energy given to solve a problem or a sin. So are there things I can do to change the situation in order to reduce my anger? Large D. All right. So we'll go back again. Help the counselor admit it. Consider the sources. Teach the art of evaluating, examining the problem. Large D. Emphasize 3 important qualities. These are good. Number 1, humility. Take a deep breath. Let's all say the word together. Humility. Humility diffuses the wrong kind of anger. Admitting that we have lost control is never easy, but nothing can change until we humble ourselves and say, hey, I got a problem with this. Number 2, after we're humbled, then we confess. Confession. The Bible emphasizes the importance of this to God in 1 John, that we confess our sins. And if anyone say that they have not sinned, they lie, and the truth is not in them. Hey, we all struggle sometimes with the wrong kind of emotional energy of displeasure, of anger, but also to man in confess your faults one to another. Number 3, forgiveness. Whoa. Talk about help. Humility, confession, and maybe somebody's done something to you and you're all angry about forgiveness. Jesus instructed us to forgive repeatedly. Forgiveness is necessary in order for us to feel forgiven ourselves. This is very important. You cannot really forgive others until you've experienced forgiveness. But once you've experienced forgiveness, you got to give it to others and not be so angry at other people. Have you not been forgiven of things? By the way, no one has ever done anything to you that's worse than what you did to Jesus Christ. And Jesus Christ has forgiven you of your sin, then you can forgive others. And forgiveness is the release of that wrong kind of anger. Forgiveness is necessary in order for us to feel forgiven ourselves. While forgiving an injustice is extremely difficult, it is always possible with God's help. I can do all things through Christ which strengtheneth me, and God has commanded me to forgive, and I have been forgiven. Large E. Teach self-control. Okay, so how do we do this change of behavior? Teach self-control. When people get angry, it is not the anger that they regret later on. It isn't. But rather what they said or their response that brought the destruction, that's what they regret. And I raise my hand and I'll tell you, it's not later on, it's not the anger that I regret, because that was good emotional energy of displeasure. But I displayed it in the wrong way. I didn't do it to solve a problem. I hurt a person. I hurt the situation more by my reaction. Showing one's reactions. Okay, now count to 10. Now, and people laugh when I put that there, but you know what? The word anger in the Old Testament means to breathe heavily, to snort. Have you ever heard of the phrase snorting mad? To breathe heavily and to exhale with a ugh. There's a lot of emotional energy, and now you're dispelling it by the breath and letting it out. Counting to 10 actually calms you down. It is actually a good way. Speak slowly and lowly. Keep your voice low. Mentally relax. A soft answer turneth away wrath. By the way, you could give a soft answer to yourself. You're all upset. Give yourself a soft answer. Speak to yourself. But if you're dealing with someone who's angry, give them a soft answer. Mentally relax. Hey, let's just take a moment. Maybe we shouldn't be so upset right now. A soft answer turneth away wrath. Dealing with the feelings of inferiority. We're going to talk about inferiority in our next lesson, so we're going to hold off on that right now. Let's go to small c. Avoid an angry mindset. Don't look for the worst in every situation. Boy, people get angry because they're just looking at things through this filter of everything is bad, this is negative, oh, this person, and we work ourselves up into a frenzy. We do it to ourselves sometimes. Look for positives in everything instead of negatives. People that are critical, cynical, and negative are going to have a problem with anger. Small d, growing spiritually. So here's another way, growing spiritually. Self-control is the fruit of the Spirit. It's called temperance, controlling yourself. So you allow the Holy Spirit to have control of you. What about catharsis? Now, we talked a little bit about this, actually. Large F, what about catharsis? That's spelled C-A-T-H-A-R-S-I-S. So what is catharsis? Catharsis is, look at this, number one, this is the popular idea of letting off steam as an approach to dealing with anger. Okay, so you're really angry about someone at work. Go out and hit a golf ball. Go out and shoot your gun. Be careful with that. You may shoot a person, okay? But there is the popular idea of this letting off of steam. This is the idea, punch your fist through the wall type of thing will take care of the anger. There is no scientific or scriptural proof. There is no scientific proof that letting off steam solves the problem. And there is no scriptural basis for it either. So there is no scientific proof and there is no scriptural basis to ever have catharsis. I'm going to, do this or do that. In fact, expressions of anger have been found through studies to increase, you're really training yourself to behave a certain way, increase rather than decrease hostility. So you got all mad at work, you come home and you kick the cat and you yell at your wife and you beat your kid. Okay, that didn't do a thing. That just caused your anger actually to go further and further. So this catharsis idea of letting out steam on something else, again, going out and hitting a golf ball, I just feel better after I do that. You have not solved your anger problem at all. Your emotional energy of displeasure was to solve a problem or a sin, not to hit a golf ball. So even though it may be fun to hit a golf ball a mile or shoot a gun off, you are not dealing with your anger issue. So, Dr. Shetler, how do you do it? So let me give it to you because I think this is very important. Conclusion. Use this acrostic to have victory over the wrong kind of anger. Now, Dr. Shetler's given you a lot of acrostics. I got some more I'm going to give you this semester. But I want you to know, in my pastoral years, the very first acrostic that I ever used to help someone through an area was this one, anger, A-N-G-E-R. I want you to memorize it. We don't have a test yet, but we're going to have a test really soon, and you got to get this, A-N-G-E-R. You're going to have to memorize this, and you got to use a complete sentence. A, anticipate things that get you upset. Now, this is a great help to you. Anticipate things that get you upset. I would say 90% of what ticks me off and I have the wrong kind of anger, I know it's going to happen. I know my son's going to react this way. I know my wife's going to say this to me. I know my students aren't going to hand this project in, and it gets me all upset. Well, anticipate the right reaction to that. Years ago, I was watching an Olympic Games. It was way back in the late 1980s. I think it was in Yugoslavia. And I saw our slalom skier at the top of the mountain in the gate. And I saw him, and I was watching it on TV that night, and I thought he was having an epileptic seizure. He was up in that gate, and he was going like this. Just seconds before he was going to be sent out of the gate to do his run on the slalom. And I cried out. I said, Marilee, look at this guy. He's having an epileptic seizure. Marilee says, no, Jim. He's going through every gate in his mind. And he was like this. He was going like this, jotting back and forth. You know what he was doing? He was anticipating every gate he was going to cut through. He knew the whole course. And he was anticipating that. You know what? Could we go through our whole day anticipating the way we're going to cut and dodge and go around and anticipate the things that get you all upset? Anger. Anticipate what gets you upset and then put the right reaction into that. Boy, I wish I had more time for some illustrations there. But this has helped me so much overcome anger. I know this is going to happen. Now, Dr. Shetler, there are things that we can't anticipate. I know. That's why I got NGER yet. But I will tell you, A will help you a lot to anticipate the things that you know get you upset every day, that you know get you upset with that person. They're going to do it. What would be the right godly, Christ-like response to it? Anticipate. N, narrate your situation to God. Now, you say, well, Jim, you needed an N, so you came up with the word narrate. Let me tell you, this is very important. This is where you talk to the Lord. God, this is where I have a problem. Lord, this is where I get all upset. God, what do you want me to do right now? Lord, please help me in this situation. The narration to God of your anger is extremely important to overcome it. You anticipate what's going to happen. You're in that situation, start talking to God. God, help me. This is where I struggle. Lord, this is when they do this. This is what I tend to do. Lord, help me. What should I do right now? Narrate the story to God. God knows what's going on, but you need to tell him and narrate it. G is the key. It's the center letter. It's the key to the whole thing. Give up your personal rights. No one can have the wrong anger if they've given up their personal rights. Most of all of our anger comes from we thought that we had a personal right to something and somebody violated it, and we had an emotional energy of displeasure because somebody did something to us that we thought we had a right to. Whether we had a right to say this, we had a right to this, we had a right to our honor, our respect, we had this and they didn't do it. You need to give up your personal rights. On the way to the cross, Christ gave it all up. He gave, not my will, but thy will be done. Jesus Christ gave up every personal right. He was the Son of God, and he gave up all of his personal rights, and he went as a lamb to the slaughter. Give up your personal rights, and you'll never have the wrong kind of anger. E, examine all the facts before getting upset. This is probably one of the biggest areas that has helped me. Especially working with the college students. You know, I'll have a student come in, they'll tell me their side of the story, and I'll get all upset. And I'll get angry towards another student in the room or whatever. And then I hear their side. And I went like, oh, wait a second here. There's two sides to this. Examine all of the facts. Proverbs is very big on this. Don't be hasty with your anger. Examine all the facts before getting upset. And then R, redirect your energy into the solution. Take the emotional energy of displeasure and don't hurt people with it. Don't hurt the situation with it. Take the energy that you're all upset about and use it to solve a problem. Now, I'm going to tell you, ANGER is one of the most helpful acrostics you'll ever have in overcoming any sin. This obviously the sin of the wrong kind of anger. Anticipate your response of what it should be. You know what ticks you off, so anticipate things you get upset with. Number two, narrate your situation to God. Tell God, talk to him. I'm telling you, that's an important step. G, give up your personal rights. Give up your personal rights. E, examine all the facts. And then E, redirect your energy to the solution, not more of a problem. And I'll tell you, you'll have victory over anger. Our next lesson is on inferiority. And after that lesson will be a test. But I wanted to make sure that you understand we got to memorize the acrostic on anger. Hope this is a help to you. I just sense that this lecture came right at the right time in the coronavirus, in your life, in your family, and in your community where you live right now. I hope it's a help. Let us know, students, what's going on in your life. We miss you so much. And I look forward to the day of being back in the classroom with you. I'm going to probably cry that first day in fall when students are back in my classrooms. I think I'm going to break down and cry because this has been hard for us too. But let's not get angry during this time. Okay, well, thanks, students, for coming in. Next one is on inferiority. I think you'll find it very helpful.